Missing tax deductions. I just reviewed a business's 2025 books and found 12,400 in legitimate tax deductions that were categorized wrong. They were about to file their taxes and overpay by $3,000 because their bookkeeping was costing them money. I'm Bev from bookkeepingcoach.net. I've been maximizing tax deductions for small businesses for many years. Every January, I help businesses find thousands in missed deductions before they file their taxes. The average I find is $8,000 to $15,000 in deductions they were about to lose. Here's what was happening with this client. They have a bookkeeper. Books are kept throughout the year. Everything gets entered. They thought they were doing fine. So they sent their 2025 financials to their CPA to prepare the taxes. The CPA looked at the expense categories and started asking questions. Where are your vehicle expenses? You have a company van. Where are your home office deductions? You work from home. Why is there nothing in your meals and entertainment category? The business owner was confused. My bookkeeper enters everything. But here's what happened. The bookkeeper was entering expenses in the wrong categories, or lumping everything into generic categories like operating expenses or miscellaneous. Vehicle expenses entered as auto, but also as repairs, gas, and insurance, split across 4 different categories. Some weren't even coded as vehicle related. They were just in business expenses. Home office? Never set up. The business owner uses 20% of their home for business. That's legitimate. But the bookkeeper never created the accounts or tracked it properly. The lost deduction was $4,800. Meals with clients, all entered as meals or food, but with clients are 50% deductible. Personal meals aren't deductible at all. The bookkeeper wasn't separating them. The CPA can't deduct what isn't properly documented and categorized. Continuing education? The owner took several courses to improve business skills. $2,400 spent. That's a legitimate deduction. But it was entered as online subscriptions or miscellaneous. The CPA almost missed it completely. Software subscriptions? Some were entered correctly. Some were in office supplies. Some were in computer expenses. And some were split across all 3 categories. It makes it impossible to see total software costs. Here's the real cost. The CPA estimated they were going to lose $12,400 in legitimate deductions because the expenses weren't categorized correctly. At a 25% tax rate, that's $3,100 extra dollars in taxes paid. And this happens every year if the books aren't set up right. But here's what makes it even worse. This isn't just about 2025. If their bookkeeping has been wrong for multiple years, they've been overpaying taxes for multiple years. This business has been operating for 5 years with the same bookkeeper using the same wrong methods. If they'd been losing $12,000 in deductions every year for 5 years, that's $60,000 in lost deductions. At 25% tax rate, it's $15,000 in extra taxes paid over 5 years. And you can't go back and amend returns just to add deductions you missed. There's a 3-year statute of limitations, and even within that window, amending returns is expensive and complicated. So that money's just gone, paid to the IRS unnecessarily because bookkeeping categories were wrong. The business owner was sick when we did the math. You're telling me I could have had an extra $15,000 in my business over the past 5 years, and instead I gave it to the IRS? Yep, that's exactly what happened. So what needs to happen to make sure you're capturing every legitimate tax deduction? First, your chart of accounts needs to be structured for tax optimization. That means creating specific categories for deductible expenses, not just lumping everything into operating expenses. There are 17 expense categories the IRS specifically looks for in small business returns. Your chart of accounts should reflect those. Second, vehicle expenses need to be tracked properly. If you use actual expense method, every single vehicle cost needs its own tracking. If you use mileage method, you need a mileage log that tracks your business versus personal miles. Most businesses do neither one correctly. Third, home office deductions need proper documentation. That means measuring your office space, calculating the percentage of your full home, and allocating expenses properly. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, repairs all get allocated based on business use percentage. But it has to be set up and documented correctly. Fourth, meals and entertainment need to be separated into categories: client meals, employee meals, team meals, travel meals. These are treated differently for tax purposes. Just recording meals isn't enough detail for proper tax treatment. Fifth, business use of personal property needs to be tracked. Cell phone? What percentage is business? Internet at home? Same question. You can deduct the business portion, but you need documentation. Sixth, continuing education and professional development need proper categorization. Courses, books, conferences, memberships, these are legitimate deductions if they improve your business skills. But they need to be coded correctly, not hidden in miscellaneous. Seventh, startup costs and organizational costs have special tax treatment if you started a business recently. There are specific categories these expenses need to go into. Most bookkeepers just code them as regular expenses. Wrong. It loses you money. And eighth, asset purchases over certain dollar amounts need to be capitalized and depreciated, not just expensed. Your bookkeeper needs to know which purposes should be assets. Most small businesses expense everything, which isn't always optimal. There are 23 other deduction categories most small businesses miss completely because their bookkeeping isn't set up to capture them. And here's what's frustrating. These aren't aggressive tax strategies or gray area deductions. These are completely legitimate, IRS-approved deductions that every small business is entitled to take. But if your bookkeeping doesn't track them correctly, you can't claim them. The IRS doesn't call you up and say, "Hey, you forgot to deduct your home office." They just happily take your extra tax payment. So where does this leave you if you're sitting here in late January and you're not sure if your books are set up to capture all your deductions? Option one is go through your 2025 books yourself and try and find all the missed deductions. Reclassify everything. Hope you catch them all. This is doable but time-consuming, and you might not know what you're looking for. Option two, just file your taxes as is with whatever your bookkeeper gave you and hope it's correct. This is what most people do, and it's why most people end up overpaying their taxes. Option three, have someone review your books specifically looking for missed deductions before you file. This usually finds enough extra deductions to pay for itself several times over. The worst thing you can do is file your taxes and then realize later you missed major deductions. If you're not sure whether your books are set up to capture all of your legitimate deductions, I can help you figure that out before you file. I do tax deduction reviews where I go through your entire 2025 expense activity. I identify every legitimate deduction you're missing. I make sure your chart of accounts is optimized for tax deductions, and we figure out what needs to be reclassified before your tax return is filed. Most businesses I review have $8,000 to $15,000 in missed deductions. Getting those captured before you file can save you $2,000 to $4,000 in taxes. I've put a link in the description below where you can book a call with me. We'll talk about how your books are set up, what deductions you might be missing, and what needs to happen before you file your return. Time is running out. The sooner you address this, the better. The link is in the description to book a call. The IRS doesn't tell you when you miss deductions. They just happily take your extra tax payment. And once you file, it's very difficult to go back and fix it. Don't leave money on the table because your bookkeeping categories are wrong. Fix it now before you file. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel. We're covering tax season issues all month long. The link is in the description if you want your books reviewed for missed deductions. I'll see you in the next video.